If that's the optimal way to pay people for their capital, why is that not the optimal way to pay people for their labor? Right? Why is it that there is no stochastic component to my pay? I don't make more when the university does well. Now, okay, in a nonprofit doesn't make much sense, but I used to run a photocopy service. I paid my employees a flat wage, I can promise you. Why didn't I give them an incentive-based contract in which at least a part of their wage was based on how well the firm did? It should have, by standard economic theory, correctly incentivized them and shared some of the uncertainty in an appropriate way. And their preferences over risk, their risk preferences would have ensured that the amount of their contract that was based on the success of the firm would be just the right amount for them and just the right amount for me. Why don't we see more of that? So you've got this paper on B-Space that says, well, it's because people have reference dependence with loss aversion around their income. And they care a lot. Their preference for these kind of stochastic incentive-based labor contract can't be explained by a simple risk aversion that you learn about in 100 There's this extra component, which is loss aversion, which bites harder. And they say niet to anything that is other than just guaranteeing my wage. Because I got to feed my family. I can't afford to face the loss. Okay? So there the reference point is their past consumption rate. I mean, it may just be their status quo consumption. They don't want to go below it. Okay? Okay. Which, by the way, could be very important in terms of the way labor contracts negatively impact firms in hard times, right? Because there's no escape valve. If you've signed a 3-year contract with your labor union based on their loss-averse preferences and it all needs to be written in stone, and then the economy goes south, investors aren't making as much off their capital, but the workers are still making just as much off their labor, so there's no release valve for the firm, which means that it could be, one hypothesis, is that drives a lot more negative sentiment towards labor unions than you might otherwise see. I think I probably need to move on. So there's a paper that actually never wound up getting published by Botan Kasegi and Paul Hughes. Botan is here, about asymmetric price elasticities. They studied the market for cigarettes in Hungary. Most of them, a seriously disproportionate number of really good behavioral economists are from Hungary. I don't know why. And basically, what they found a lot of really interesting things about the fact that when you lower prices, you don't get the same kind of price. This is an explanation for price stickiness. Why don't prices fluctuate more? Why do you see prices for the same products being exactly the same, even though the products aren't quite the same? And a lot of this is explained by the fact that there's a big difference between how people feel about getting a break on the price, which is a gain, and how they feel about getting an increase in the price, which is a loss, which they hate. And if you know that adjusting the price down may require you to adjust the price back up again later, and the positive response you get from lowering your price is outweighed by the negative response you get from raising it again later, you're not going to change it that much. So you get price stickiness, and you get these weird focal point things that happen where all competitors are charging the same price. Why are all movies the same price, for example? They're not all of the same quality. Right? Why is the middle seat in an airplane the same price as the aisle in the window? Actually, that's a different thing. That's about social comparisons. But why are all movies the same price? That really doesn't make any sense unless you have some explanation around, well, hey, relative to this movie, this one is really expensive, so that's a loss. It's better to just keep your prices the same. Okay, now let's move on. So I'm pretending that I'm not talking about reference dependence in consumer markets. Actually, we've been talking about it all along, but I'm going to try to shift gears and talk about actual... have I had my collar up this whole time? It's shocking that you didn't tell me that. Oh my God, do I have a tag out? You really got to raise the standard on that. If my collar's up, please tell me. That's disgraceful. Okay. Does the endowment effect happen in the real world? Well, I just told you it does, but I didn't give you proof. Right? I didn't give you proof. I just said, here's some situations that can be explained by reference dependence, that can't be explained, blah, blah, blah. We want to try to get proof. What I'm about to show you is what we've got in the way of proof. I don't think that this agenda is finished. I don't think this question has been answered. I mean, I know what the answer is, but that's not good enough for science. So John List, who's at the University of Chicago, as far as I know, the only actual potentially legitimately behavioral economist at the Chicago's, in the economics department. All the behavioralists in Chicago are in business school. And John List isn't really a behavioral economist. He started out amazingly. So he went to the university, got his PhD from the University of Wyoming, and he's an environmental economist. So for all I know, he's got a paper on wolves somewhere. But he's a field experimentalist more than anything else. He does amazing field experiments, and some of them are in the field of behavioral economics. So he went basically just tested the endowment effect in a real market. He's a sports card fanatic. And he went to a sports card show, right? So for those of you who right, does everybody know about the sports cards? Every team, every year, every player on the team gets a different card, and it tells you their statistics, and a little picture of them, like sliding into home base or something. And then there's all these other things that get traded at these shows, different sports memorabilia. So he is a serious aficionado. He knows this stuff better than anybody. So he went to a sports card trading show, and he just grabbed people as they came. He said, "Do you want to be part of the experiment?" And he randomly assigned them into Group A, whom he had endowed with a Kansas City Royals ticket stub from some game. Now, I wrote this down. It was valuable because Carl Ripken broke the world record for consecutive games played during this game. Wouldn't make it valuable to me for that reason, but nonetheless, it's valuable to people who attend these shows. The other thing that he gave them, which because he's also a professional valuer of these objects, he knows that they have about the same market value. The other one was a Milwaukee Brewers commemorative certificate, which was given out at a game during which Nolan Ryan became only the 20th pitcher in history to win 300 games. Okay. These things are, in fact, of exactly equal value to me, but that's not the point. That's not the point. And that's exactly the same. Do you want to trade for this thing? Do you want to trade for that thing? You get to look at both of them. You're endowed with one of them. It's yours to take. Do you want to trade? Blah, blah, blah. We know that the number of trades he should have observed in total, not per group, but in total, is 50%. And I'm going to review one more time so it'll allow the job of explaining that, why that's the case. Suppose that 20% of the people liked thing A, okay? And suppose that there's 100 people in group A, and they get thing A, which means how many of them should want to trade? 80, right? So we should see 80 trades from group A. Group B, there's 100 people. How many of them, they got B, how many of them should want to trade? 20, right? The 20% who didn't get, who preferred A and didn't get it. Okay, so the number of trades is not 50% per group, but it's 50% of the total subject pool, no matter what people's preferences are for the goods in question. And what we actually see is completely different, right? It's 20% A for B and 25% B for A. I'm not sure, this thing tells you that those things are dramatically different from zero, but I'm not sure that they're different from one another. So those aren't actual market transactions, but those are people physically in a market for the thing that they are being experimented on, right? Which seems a little bit more compelling than giving people a mug in the middle of an economics class, where I've always wondered about this. If I did experiments, everybody would get up and leave. It blows my mind that you can get away with this. But then the real question is this, is not does it happen in a market, but does it go away with market experience? I could go into a sports card trade show. It doesn't make me a market participant. What we want to know is, does participation in a market make that effect go away? Okay? So now we're going to pick apart the results and this paper's online as well, and what I've actually done here, I should just for complete rigorous intellectual honesty, I have actually cut and pasted different parts of the graph together, not to change what's labeled or what they are, but just to show you certain parts of the results separately from other parts. So this is actually putting together two different tables that report the same things. So when we break down the subject pool into, he did the same thing with dealers and non-dealers, right? So the non-dealers are just people who went there to buy cards, and the dealers are the people who actually have a booth there. Okay, the dealers are people who are steeped in this market, and have a lot of market experience. And if I offer them a Carl Ripken, this, that, or the other thing, they're going to sell it to somebody. So this is actually a market experience for them. Okay, and here's their numbers. There's their trades, quite close to 50%, just a little bit below. And the Fisher's exact test p-value, I'm not going to go into what a Fisher's exact test is because I don't know, but it's a lot bigger than 0.05, which means that this thing is not. These things are not statistically significantly different from 50%. Okay, so to a first order approximation, there's no endowment effect for these dealers. All right, for the non-dealers, well, we've already seen that. That's what I just showed you. Okay. And then when we take these non-dealers and split them up into experienced and inexperienced, because he asked them in a little survey how frequently they come to shows and how frequently they trade cards and stuff, because I guess you can do stuff at stores and et cetera, et cetera. And the ones that were experienced look just like the traders, and the ones who are experienced look like they just have really got the endowment effect bad. Okay? So it looks like market experience makes the endowment effect go away. Okay. However, even though this is an experiment, because we're trying to track something that evolves dynamically over time, which is market experience, and because the experiment is static, it's at a fixed point in time, we're not actually able to control exogenously by making somebody like, let's say, I should probably know your name if I'm going to do this, Justin. Let's say that Justin is my randomly selected subject, okay? What I really want to know is not whether or not he's experienced and how he compares to an inexperienced person. What I really want to know is what's the impact on his evidence of his display of the endowment effect of taking him from inexperienced and making him experienced, okay? This experiment doesn't have the power to do that, and so we have an endogeneity problem, and it goes like this. We don't know on the basis of these results whether experience causes lack of the endowment effect, which is what the hypothesis list is testing, or whether people who don't have the endowment effect are more likely to trade. Well, we know that they're more likely to trade. At least on the basis of a model, we know that the endowment effect reduces the number of trades, right? So if people don't have the endowment effect, they don't have this kink, they don't have this loss aversion problem, or at least they put it aside. In the case of the dealers, it's because the tickets and the commemorative certificates and the sports cards are cash equivalents. If they don't have that endowment effect, we know, according to the model of reference dependence, that they're more likely to trade, so they will become more experienced. We don't know which of those things we're capturing here in this experiment. Okay, so we have to actually control for the evolution of experience over time. And this is what List did. He went back to the same show a year later, and he actually contacted the subjects from the first year to get them to come to the show and participate in his experiment again. And a lot of them did. And so he started and asked them what he asked them about what their trading level was now and whether it increased from last year, and if so, sort of why. And here's what he found. Okay, now this graph is a little bit hard to pick apart. So I wrote myself a bunch of notes about 2 weeks ago about how to pick it apart, and I'm going to have to now figure out what those notes actually say. So there's evidence in this table to support both directions of causality, both that market experience drives out the endowment effect, and that not having the endowment effect seems to make you more likely to have a lot of market experience. So let's start with result number 1. Among those who did not trade in experiment 1, the ones whose experience increased were much more likely to trade in experiment 3. Sorry. So he actually did some other totally orthogonal experiment in between. So it's really experiment 1, experiment 3, but before and after. So let me see. Where are the people who did not trade in experiment 1? They're here above this line. Okay. Where are the people who didn't trade in experiment 1 who had an increase in experience, market experience, during the course of the year? They're these people. There are 21 of them. Of them, more than half, and I believe statistically significantly more than half, because this is the result that he actually reports in the paper, do wind up trading in experiment 3, though they didn't in experiment 1. Which suggests, you might even say strongly suggests, I don't think it's quite enough to say it proves, but it strongly suggests that among these people who, for whatever reason, didn't want to trade, might have been because they liked what they got, but we know that for a lot of them it was because they had the endowment effect going on. They had some loss aversion going on. For these people, the ones who then became more experienced over the course of the year were suddenly dramatically more likely to trade. Okay? So that suggests that there is the causal relationship that List is testing for, which is that experience drives out the endowment effect. There's also, and this is not reported in the paper, and it's probably not statistically significant, but it's interesting anyway, there's also some suggestive evidence here for the reverse causation, that not having an endowment effect causes people to have more experience. So let me see if I can remind myself. Okay. So a bunch of people did trade in the first experiment, and that's the people below this line, right? Of those, 6 of them had an increase in experience, that's these folks. And of the 5 who had reduced experience, that's these people, 100% of them didn't trade. And of the ones, let's see, but there was something else I wanted to say. Okay. So if we think that the fact that you traded in the first experiment is a proxy for not having the endowment effect, it looks like the majority of the people down here, the majority of the people in the bottom half who didn't have the endowment effect did go on to have an increase in experience, right? 6 out of 11 of them had an increase in experience, possibly driven by the fact that they were people who just don't experience the endowment effect. And then of the ones who, the other ones who had a decrease, because maybe they're just inclined to not trade because they just don't care that much about cards and not because of the endowment effect, that decrease seems to have kept them, seems to have taken them from wanting to trade the first time to not wanting to trade. Okay, so maybe a decrease in experience actually causes an increase in the endowment effect. Now, my guess based on the size of these numbers is they're probably not statistically significant. And if they were, they probably would have been reported in the paper. But I emphasize this for a couple of reasons. Not because that's part of the scientific, well, it is part of the scientific process. It's the following part of the scientific process that may be very important to some of you. Noticing unreported potential suggestive results in somebody else's paper is a very, very good way to come up with your own novel research topic. That's how I got my dissertation topic. I don't know what percentage of interesting research ideas come from squinting at somebody else's table and seeing what suggestive results there might be that the author didn't pick up on or didn't have statistical significance to report. And then you can go and test that yourself. Okay, where are we? Okay, so that's John List saying, we do observe the endowment effect in a real-world setting, but it seems that, on balance, we can claim that market experience drives it away. Which means that, for the people who really care about sports cards, we probably don't need to worry about it. However, meanwhile, in another part of the forest, Genesov and Mayer, I don't know if it's Mayer or Meyer, back in 2001, published a paper on their observations of trades in the condo market in Boston. So a condo is like an apartment that's sold as a freestanding unit in a building with multiple units. It's a term that not all In England, there's no such thing as a condo because almost all apartments are available for purchase. Interestingly enough, but so these are so they have from 1990 to 1997 every condo that was placed on the market, what it was listed at, what it sold for, whether it sold, how long it was on the market. Okay, it's a very rich data set. And what they found was this: owners who faced an expected loss relative to the price they originally paid. So when you go on the market, somebody, hopefully your real estate agent, is going to say to you, here's how much your apartment, your condo is probably worth. Here's the assessment. Okay, so that's like an expected value. You don't know what you're really going to sell it for, but this is a ballpark. So owners for whom that assessment, their expected value, was going to be a loss relative to what they had paid for the condo however many years before, relative to people who were going to experience a gain, right? The following things. They listed their condos at a higher asking price, right? They inflated, in their minds, the value of their condo. They took longer to find a buyer, which means that they rejected more offers. They were more likely to fail to find a buyer completely and take their condo off the market. And, interestingly enough, you think that would all redound to their harm, but in fact they received a higher selling price when they did sell. Okay? So what happened here is that what seems to have happened is that loss aversion. So if I basically, it matters whether or not the selling price is above or below the principal you still owe on the loan. That matters. It shouldn't matter whether it's above or below the price you pay, because that should be a sunk cost. And we all know that the sunk cost fallacy should not enter into your decision making. But for some reason, people who were going to experience a gain relative to their reference point, which is what they bought the thing for, were more prepared to trade than people who were going to experience a loss, or who expected to experience a loss. And the effect was smaller among investor owners, so people whose condo was not where they lived, but where a rental that they owned and rented out. Okay? Which could be because they were more experienced, or it could be because they treated the condo as a cash equivalent. Okay. So very quickly, I've got 1 minute. What can we conclude about the endowment effect in consumer markets? Apparently, the intention to resell eliminates the endowment effect because the good becomes a cash equivalent. I say we can take that result to the bank. That seems pretty clear. It also seems fairly clear that market experience diminishes the endowment effect, even for people who aren't planning to resell. Okay? Although it's not clear whether this effect generalizes to other goods. It certainly seems to be true in the market for sports cards. The endowment effect, seems to persist in markets in which individuals trade infrequently. The housing market is not like the sports card market. You only trade a couple times in your life, typically. Okay? And in those markets where it persists, there may be fairly significant impacts on those markets, and they may be quite important markets. Loss aversion, if it's relevant, has significant normative implications for cost-benefit analysis and the Coase theorem, and particularly because those goods, by definition, are not traded, because they're externalities. We know that the reference point adapts over time, and what that reference point actually is going to depend upon the situation in ways that we will explore next Thursday. So, thank you very much. See you on Tuesday. Again, I will have office hours on Monday at the usual time.